All right, I'm admitting Amanda. Not sure if it's Amanda Archer or Amanda Kennedy. It's Amanda Archer. We now have a quorum.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 1:37. Do you want to do a roll call, Veronica?
I do have it available. Please let me know if you are here when I call your name. Aaliyah Armstrong. Faith Dayton.
Here.
Teresa DeSimone.
Here.
Jacqueline Williams.
You say yay. Okay.
Joanna Olson.
Okay.
Paul Davis.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Noemi Guerrero, excuse me. Karen Lovato.
Okay, the 15th at 11. Okay, great.
Here.
Excellent. Okay, bye. Bye.
Brady Nord.
Here.
Amanda Archer.
Here.
Judy Albert.
Here.
Thanks. Sage Wolf for anyone from RCS. Dan McIntyre.
Here.
Natalie Shepard. And Sandra Stolfi.
Here.
We have a quorum. Barely.
Thank you. We're going to go on to public comment. Was there any public comment you received, Veronica?
I received no advance written public comment.
Okay. Is there any public comment present? Not hearing any, we will move on to approval of the minutes from March 27th. Is there any corrections or additions or comments on those before we get a motion? If not, I need a motion for approval.
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Judy. Is there a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Sandra. Any comments? Nope. Roll call, Veronica?
Please say yes, no, or abstain when I call your name. Faith Dayton.
Abstain.
Teresa DeSimone.
Yes.
Karen Lovato.
Yes.
Brady Nord.
Yes.
Amanda Archer.
Yes.
Judy Albert.
Yes.
Dan McIntyre.
Yes.
Sandra Stolfi.
Yes.
Motion approved. Motion.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So we're going to reports and presentations. Veronica, oh, there's Mariah. I see Mariah now. So
Okay.
Mariah is your,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Mariah. No, I was just gonna tell her it's Mariah's turn.
So I'll just give a little bit of background so we're not just throwing Mariah in there. So like last meeting, Teresa DeSimone gave a presentation of the services at CDC. And we thought that it would be good to continue that when we're able to. And Mariah with Northern Circle Indian Housing Authority has agreed to do a similar presentation for us today. So Mariah, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mariah McGill, and I work with Northern Circle Indian Housing Authority. I just had a short presentation, just kind of going over the different things that we do here at Northern Circle. But to kind of give you some history on who we are and what we do and how long have we been around. So Northern Circle is a tribally designated housing entity. That means we carry out affordable housing activities on behalf of federally recognized tribes. So we were created in 1979, and our office began first here in Northern Circle. And at the time, we had 13 federally recognized tribes within our consortium. So like those would include Yochadehi, so the Cache Creek tribe, Cotto and Laytonville. We had Dry Creek Rancheria out of Sonoma County. So there was a total of 13, and now we have today 8 federally recognized tribes, and 5 are in Mendocino County. So we have the Giddyville Indian Rancheria out of Ukiah. We have the Redwood Valley Little River Band of Pomo Indians out of Redwood Valley. Manchester Band of Pomo Indians, and that consists of 2 sites. There's Manchester and Point Arena. We have the Sherwood Valley Rancheria Band of Pomo Indians, and then we also have the Hopland Band of Pomo Indians. So Sherwood's in Willits, and then Hopland is in Hopland. We carry out a wide variety of housing activities. We get our funding through the Native American Housing Assistance and Self-Determination Act, and that is what we call NAHASDA, but it's funds through HUD. So there's like 2 branches of HUD. You have your normal HUD side, and then you have the Office of Native American Programs. So oftentimes when we speak with different funders and developers, we'll talk about some of the statute requirements and the legislation connected to our funding source. And they're like, well, you need to follow HUD's rules. And I said, we do. We're just, we're 2 different kinds of mustard. There's mustard and there's Mendo mustard. There's HUD and then there's HUD's Office of Native American Programs. Still mustard, but one has a little more pizzazz. No. So we have a tenant-based rental assistance program. We serve as a property management company. We have 181 units underneath our property management between Mendocino County and Butte County. We have a housing rehabilitation program where we assist low-income homeowners with rehabilitating their home. I most recently transitioned as the housing developer into grants. So we have our own housing development branch. We do new construction and grant writing. We, along with our property management, have a maintenance program. And we're actually working on creating a youth leadership program. So I'll be applying for the youth demonstration grant by June 27th. We were one of 2 tribes in 2020 that received the Housing and Disability Advocacy Program. So HDAP, tribes had never been directly eligible until 2020. And there's 109 federally recognized tribes, 110 if you count Chemehuevi, which sits in both in Arizona and California. So 110 technically. But of those, only 2 tribes knew about CDSS funds, although there is a consultation requirement through BCSH that requires any local government to conduct meaningful and transparent consultation for any of the new funding programs. But as we know, that doesn't happen very often. So I actually found out about the HDAP program from our friends at Dry Creek. The housing director called and said, hey, there's $17 million available. Let's apply. And I had no idea at that point. I didn't know what the COC was. I was experienced in tribal housing and never once connected with any local jurisdiction. It's a 2-sided relationship. I didn't go to the COC and say, hey, I'm Mariah, how do we get this going? So it was a work in progress, and it took a lot of time to catch up. But I do have to say, out of since 2020, now the California Department of Social Services is completely oversubscribed with tribal applications. They had $17.5 million in this last program. And not only did they offer housing and disability advocacy, but they offered bringing families home and home safe. So there's lots of tribes that are participating in the program now. And Mendocino County is a highlighted, at least like within the tribal world, is they're highlighted for their partnership through the development of the Department of Social Services program. So the work that Veronica has been doing with us. So there's a lot of issues with COCs throughout the state, particularly when it comes to the HMIS contract. And we have tribes who have homelessness funds, whether it be ESG or CDSS, any one of their programs that cannot actually conduct their programs because they don't have the HMIS contract. So they are not even able to execute their programs. So I just wanted to, thank everyone here on the call. The staff is incredible, especially Veronica. Really grateful for her. Other than that, we also have a tribal set-aside available through the California Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD. So we have 2 Home Key Awards through the organization. We are a primary applicant for a 4-plex to be built in Hopland. That's in partnership with Home Investment Partnership Funds and NAHASDA, so 2 state programs and 1 federal program. And then the other program, the other award for Home Key is with Giddyville Indian Rancheria. So we'll have 16 studios going up in off of Vichy Springs on Giddyville's tribal lands. So that will be for chronically homeless and at-risk youth. There'll also be a on-site property manager, and we will be offering case management. We have a ROS program, so it's residence opportunity and self-sufficiency. And then our HSTAP, bringing families home and home safe, caseworkers will have office space there so that we can meet with all of our clients. Let's see, what else are we working on? If you have any connections in Butte County, we have 2 tribes over there. We have the Berry Creek, Taimaidu tribe of Berry Creek and Moortown Rancheria, both located in Oroville. And we were awarded back in 21, $5 million to build 8 houses on Moortown Rancheria. So we break ground next Monday. Really excited to get some homes built. It's actually really interesting. We've been serving as housing professionals and, within tribal housing realm since 1979. However, HCD didn't even recognize us as developers until after Assembly Bill 1010 was written and passed back in 2019. So kind of to give a little history and background of why we're so deeply involved in advocacy and really trying to get the word out is, tax credits. We all know tax credits. Yeah, so tax credits have been, people have been able to access them for quite some time. There wasn't a tribal set aside until 2014, and the tribal set aside was at $1 million. And so that was the first opportunity that tribes ever had an opportunity for HCD funds. Otherwise, we had to create a CHOTO. We weren't considered a body of government. We weren't considered a housing developer. We had to create a separate branch in order to be eligible. Fast forward to 2016, it was the first time that tribes had a set aside through home rental projects. So not even programs, just rental. And although we had been building housing and been successful in grant awards since 1979, we did not meet threshold. We were the only application in all of California. And so then the money rolled over into the next year. It didn't re-up, it just rolled over. We didn't get twice the NOFA. But we had some changes to the NOFA with working with the staff. And we got 2 applications in that second round. And Northern Circle was awarded $920,000. So when I said the fourplex, that is the project that we were awarded. We did not get a standard agreement until last week. So in the time that it took for us to get awarded and to just get a standard agreement, I got married and had 2 kids. So that just tells you how long it takes for us to get funds through HCD, which is, it's really heartbreaking because there's, you know, other local jurisdictions and nonprofits that can apply every other year, get funded, get units built, create, you know, permanent supportive housing vouchers, can create tenant-based vouchers or project-based vouchers, and we just can't, right? It's not like we're brand new, we've never done this before. So in one of the meetings that we had about MHP or I believe it was like home programs, I was talking to a staff member at HCD, and they said, if you want to change that, it's going to take an act of Congress. So I said, okay, let me see what I can do. So we partnered up with the California Coalition of Rural Housing and also Rural Community Assistance Corporation and 6 other federally recognized tribes. And we created a drafting committee to create a program that would be funded through the state of California, similar to our NAHASTA program, but would consider us as like an entitlement and to create annual allocations, you know, because we're targeting extremely low incomes to be able to do pre-development, to do vouchers, to be able to do construction. And we were able to pick up Senator Mike McGuire, so our senator in our district, and he picked up 6 other senators as co-authors. And on April 18th, we passed the Housing Committee. On April 25th, we passed governmental organization. Last week, we passed appropriations. And we look forward to getting on to the next step. I'm not a poli-sci anything at all. So I can't tell you what the next step is, but I do want to, you know, thank everyone here, because the only county to show support of Senate Bill 18 is Mendocino County. So thank you so much for your support. I'm really excited because, you know, it's one thing to work really closely with a staff member. It's another thing to have support from the entire government. So I'm just incredibly grateful. And it's just another thing that Mendocino County is doing to support tribes and to be the first to do that. So, you know, thank you so much. And we will be kicking off our Bringing Families Home and Home Safe programs. We actually have a few clients that we are working with before having our MOU signed, because they are crisis cases, and we're working really closely with CDSS's TA providers to ensure that we're offering those services to our tribal members. So if there's any community or any nonprofit or any you know, staff here or representatives that have tribal members who are in need of services, and if your waiting list is just too long, please send them our way, because we will absolutely do everything in our power to connect them to their tribe directly. They don't have to be a tribe in Mendocino County. They can be a tribe in Washington. They can be a tribe in Florida. It doesn't matter. We will do everything we can to connect them to their membership, to their leadership, to ensure that they have those services. So I know many tribes still have the Department of Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Many tribes have the Homeowners Assistance Fund. And then just like us, they most likely either have a social services branch or also have their own property management or rental assistance vouchers. So we will do everything we can to connect that tribal member to their tribe. And there's plenty more that I could share with you all, but I don't want to keep you until next week. I'm totally happy to answer any questions. No question's a bad question. Before I started working at Northern Circle, I worked at Bebop's, right? I managed the restaurant at Bebop's. And before that, I was in high school and I grew up in Round Valley. So that was like my connection to tribal membership. I didn't realize growing up that there was, 11 tribes in our county, and that I didn't realize that there's tribal members who were youth living in storage containers and in hotels. I didn't realize that they could get services outside of what everyone else can get. So no question's a bad question. It just shows that your wheels are turning and that you're eager to have solutions. So yes, Megan.
Thank you, Mariah. This is like super helpful. So if what's the right person or phone number to start with if we come across tribal members who could use some housing services, and where should they begin?
Yeah, so we can, you can definitely send them to our direct line. The number, I'll put it in the chat, but it's 707-468-1336, and that'll go to our general line.
Okay.
Travis Wright, he's a Sherwood Valley tribal member. If anyone has worked with child services, he was the ICWA caseworker for Sherwood Valley Rancheria for the last few years, and now he's over on our side. But I can put his contact information in the chat and follow up with an email. If they're interested in any kind of housing services, they can reach out to Christine De Los Santos. She's the resident services manager, or Montana Wise, W-I-S-E. And you can get to them from calling our general contact line. But they oversee the property management. So like I said, of our 181 units, we do property management, and it's all targeted towards low income, and we will have more houses coming. So we can get them on our waiting list. You can also visit our website, www.nciha, so the acronym for Northern Circle Indian Housing Authority.org. They can apply directly through our website for any one of our housing programs. We have a list of staff directories that's available on site. And then if anyone knows any contractors, please have them sign up through our contractors page, where it's basically our plan room. We share our requests for bids, requests for proposals, all that's available on there. So it's kind of a one-stop shop. But yeah, please feel free to call. And we also have brochures, so we can bring them down to the county and have those available for you.
Okay, thank you, Mariah. So if it caught my attention that it sounds like a service you provide is if a tribal member contacts you who's not one of these 5 tribes, you'll try to get them to the right place.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I feel like I come across clients who are like, oh, I can't get any services anymore. And it might've been like something that happened 15 years ago. Like I never really know whether that's the case or not. So it sounds like we can always suggest, try again, make another phone call,
Yeah,
see what
absolutely.
you're actually eligible for. Because some people seem
Yeah.
to think they're not eligible for anything anymore. I don't even know what they mean.
And it's not like a one size fits all, just like, Mendocino County might not have the same rules as Butte County or Stanislaus. Some tribes have rental assistance program that go on for life. Some of them have like 36 months. But again, those even get updated, new money comes in. So I always tell clients to apply every 365, right? Get your information uploaded, because who knows, they're going to build 10 houses next year.
Thank you.
Yeah, Veronica.
So I think I caught something that perked my ears and kind of made me a little bit, can you elaborate a little bit more on the YHDP Youth Homeless Demonstration Project application? Because my main question is, which jurisdiction are you guys applying for? Because I know it's
yeah.
I don't know.
So
Is it
tribes
us or
are
no?
listed. Yeah, on page 4, it says eligible applicants, and in parentheses, it'll say 25 other, and it'll say see next section for description of other. So it's another one of those things where we,
Absolutely.
when
Absolutely.
they
But
don't
which
fit us into a
jurisdiction?
spot, they throw us in other. So we're
Yes.
under 25 other with tribal entities.
Right. Is it for the is it operating in Mendocino County or another jurisdiction?
It'll be nationwide, offering for any tribal member within our memberships.
Okay. The reason I'm asking these questions is because that you are correct on the applicant, but the COC collaborative applicant for the jurisdiction you're serving has to submit an application in eSnaps. There's like a process that you have to work with the COC, but if it's not specifically for
Yeah, let me check with
Mendocino-
HUD, because they're just like all of our other programs, we don't isolate it to one county. And oftentimes the connection to the COC is not necessarily applicable, right, within tribal jurisdiction. But let me send an email to HUD and see if we can get some clarity on it. I know this isn't a tribal specific grant.
Is it? Or is it?
So no, it's in the general HUD pool.
That's what I
So
thought.
we're-
I have the NOFO up and it describes the applicant just exactly
Correct.
what you're talking about. But it also says the applicant selected by the COC through the application process.
Okay, let me check in with HUD and see,
Yeah.
because that would be a lot of COCs involved.
Yeah, yes. Or is it? Yeah. But because I had considered whether or not I needed to carve out capacity to do a local application, but our COC decided not to. I think it was in the March meeting. It might have been April. So
Yeah, it was something that just came on my radar about a week and a half ago. I was on HUD's Office of Native American Programs, and they're doing like one last rally to get applications in the tribal side. I said, sure, why not? But yeah, I'll double check.
They're only selecting 25 applications
25
for the entire nation. So it's
Mhm.
very highly competitive, but I'm really glad to see that they've learned not to include it with the annual COC because it messes with our rating and ranking and it makes it really scary. So I'm glad that they're doing it separate and apart this time. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll let you know what they say. Hey, Judy.
Hi. So Mariah, so the 171 or 181 units, are those actually like vouchers that you have to give? Or are they actual apartments, housing that you own?
They're all single family homes that we own.
So are they scattered throughout the county or are they located more in one spot?
So each reservation that we serve has housing. So for instance, in between Manchester and Point Arena, we have 37. We have 30 in Hopland. But that's just on our we call it on-site.
Oh, okay.
Property.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But within the vouchers, just in our tenant-based rental assistance through NAHASDA, our HUD funding, we have about 1,300 vouchers out and about.
Wow. Okay. And does homelessness among Native Americans in this county stay like about the same as it is in the county population too, or would you assess it as higher?
I would assess it as higher. It's point in time count doesn't necessarily, and it doesn't matter what county, doesn't matter what COC, it does not accurately represent tribal membership experiencing homelessness. There's huge populations within tribal communities, and oftentimes they're without having tribal staff participating in the PIT, the numbers don't get counted on the reservation. And we only just really found out, with working with Veronica and the ESG program, through Northern Circle, was that, if we have clients in a hotel, we can put them in the PIT count. And we had absolutely no idea. I've been at Northern Circle, this coming year will be 10 years. And basically since the pandemic was when I really was like, wow, that's what the COC is. I had no idea. So I didn't know much about the point in time count. I would see things on the news and that would be about it. But we are working with UCSF to potentially do a pilot data collection program, looking at 2 to 3 tribes within the state of California to figure out kind of like a best practices for homelessness data collection in tribal communities. The reason why we say about 3 is that Northern California tribes look very different than Central, and they look very different than San Diego. So if we're able to create a pilot that includes the 3 separate sections, the 3 separate regions, we might be able to come up with like a best practices. But we're still in very preliminary discussions with UCSF, but really looking forward to an opportunity within the next couple of years. One of the things that you'll see a lot, and I'm sure you see it in your community as well, is, or any BIPOC community, is that tribal members often express data qualitatively, right? It's the stories, and there's kind of a cultural divide where the disconnect between houselessness and homelessness, right? We have individuals living in dilapidated pull trailers, and if you ask them if they're homeless, they're going to tell you you're crazy, because that is their home.
Right.
They're on tribal trust land, and their grandparents live there and their ancestors live there. They are not homeless. So we're trying to figure out the best ways of collecting data, because regardless of the program, you have to show numbers. Right. And there is no big 3-page spot to put in a narrative. So it's been really difficult for us, but we're hoping with working with UCSF, we can come up with some solutions.
And do you think there's an accurate census taken of Native Americans in Mendocino County?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's nationwide. I was just at a National American Indian Housing Council convention in Waikoloa, Hawaii last week, and the census folks were there. And the reason why is because every tribal nation, every tribal community does not have accurate data. The only way to really ensure that the numbers kind of more accurately represent, and it's something that the EPA is doing, is that they're making tribes innately disadvantaged. So for instance, with SOMA dollars, tribes are considered innately disadvantaged, so they're able to get low-cost solar panels, because the tribal membership at Giddyville, right, tucked in the foothills of East Ukiah, there's a lot of wealthy people that live out there, right? We have doctors, we have lawyers, but we also have Giddyville Indian Rancheria, where most of our individuals living out there are targeted at 50% AMI. So although, because of where they're at, it shows that they're in the 10th percentile, right? They're loaded in the cash, but it's not true. It's not true. So census, our numbers through NAHASDA, the HUD funds, are really closely tied to the census. And tribes challenge their census and conduct their own surveys so that they can get more accurate funds through their allocation. So it is a huge problem. We combat HUD, Office of Native American Programs, every year to get numbers right. And it's not just this area, it's everywhere.
Okay, thank you.
And just as a quick side note, our 2021 point in time count showed that over 30% of people experiencing unsheltered homelessness identified as Alaska Native or Native American.
Oh, wow.
And that's an undercount.
Hmm.
So my last little pitch before I let you all, continue on your agenda is regardless of what nonprofit or what organization you represent here in this meeting, please reach out to Northern Circle. Please reach out to the tribes within the county. We are doing our membership a disservice if we're only offering the programs that are offered through the local jurisdiction, right? There's potentially a whole plethora of funds available at the tribe. And if we can't get them connected, then we'll find another solution. There's the California Indian Manpower Consortium. There's we can hook them up at Consolidated Tribal Health. If they're, moving out of the county, we can connect them to the other counties, TANF. We're here to help. Please consider us a partner. Please consider us, knowledge sharers. If anyone's interested in any of our programs or want more information, do not hesitate. Veronica has been an excellent ally for us. And I'm really excited to see that other tribes are able to connect with her. And I hope that other jurisdictions throughout the state of California follow suit and decide that, hey, tribes are our partners. We're on ancestral grounds potentially. Let's find ways to solve solutions or create solutions because we have the same mission, right? To provide safe and affordable housing to the people within our communities. And if we can do so in partnership, why the hell not?
Thank you, Mariah. That was really helpful. Really appreciate it.
I'll let you get back to your meeting. I'll follow up with Veronica and send contacts. I'll send our brochure over. If you want to look at any one of our communities, we're happy to do a tour. One of the things that blew my mind was when the state of HCD awarded us funds. We had some staff members who were reviewing our application for eligibility and they'd never been on a reservation before. So we're happy to do tours, show you some of the housing. We have low vacancy rates, but we do have a couple units that we're using as transitional for housing rehab programs. So if you're interested in some of the housing stock we have, we're happy to show you around.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thanks, Mariah.
Mhm.
Dan, do you want us to pick up? Right, I think he's frozen, unless he's been like in that same
He's on
position.
the phone.
He's like not even moving at all.
Right. I think he's frozen.
I think he's frozen too.
Oh,
Oh, there he is. He's back. Dan, are you ready to get us to the next agenda item, or do you want Veronica and I to take over?
maybe he's having audio issues.
I don't know.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Veronica, why don't you want to let's move on. Well,
okay. It's interesting.
he just
Updates
vanished,
from
right?
local
So maybe he'll come back.
So updates from local jurisdictions, starting with County of Mendocino. Karen, do you have any updates for us?
I think the biggest update is probably that May is Mental Health Month. And so, as we did in April is Alcohol Awareness Month, we are out and about in the community at various health fairs. And we have 10 that we've been either gone to or been invited to so far this month. We've got somebody up in Laytonville at Laytonville's Resource Fair this afternoon. We expect to be at Hopland's Pride event, and we will be in Fort Bragg at their farmers market next weekend. So we are trying to make sure that our resources and educational materials are out and about to raise awareness and reduce stigma to behavioral health conditions.
Thank you. Megan?
Just trying to think if there's any updates from the county around housing. I will say we submitted a report to the Board of Supervisors on consent. No one pulled it. There was no discussion. I see that as a positive sign, or maybe a neutral sign, but it did include the board's endorsement of the update to our strategic plan. If you remember, we went through a process that was, we didn't substantially change our plan, but we updated it, cleaned it up, streamlined it a little bit. And so that is considered endorsed by the Board of Supervisors as well. So moving along in that context, I think because homelessness is not when it's something people are talking about in the political levels, it's usually a lot of misconceptions we're having to kind of deal with. So I see the general quietness from the community around homelessness as evidence of our progress and success in really moving forward with addressing issues related to homelessness. And even these meetings themselves are not quite the dramatic things they used to be, which I see as very positive sign. COC. So that's my update from the county. I can't think of anything else substantial, Veronica, unless you can, that I need to update anyone on. Okay. So we're going, things are going well.
Do you want any updates on the front door for families?
Yeah, sure. Front Door for Families officially launched in the middle of March. And it's been going really well. I'm super excited about it. Our partnership with Child Welfare Services is pretty strong. We are incorporated the Bringing Families Home program into Front Door for Families. So that has been much smoother than I actually had anticipated. Our housing problem solving guides are pretty busy, and it's going really well.
Great. Thank you. Dan, do you want to take over?
I'll try to. About everything crashing.
We're on updates from local jurisdictions, and the county just finished.
You froze again. Oh, no.
Is Shannon there or Shannon here? No, I don't see.
No,
Shannon.
there's no other jurisdictions represented.
Okay. Was there any comments or questions on Megan's comments or Karen's?
Megan, where can we find out more about Front Door for Families? Is it listed on the county website or anything?
It has its own website. So it's www.frontdoormendocino.org. Yeah, it's pretty, it still needs a little bit of cleanup, that website, but it's the basics are all there. And as well as a place to make an appointment for if clients want to make an appointment for a housing problem solving consultation.
Thanks, Megan. We're going to go on to standing committee reports. Megan, do you want to give an update of the county's, the county meeting you on the strategic plan?
I did just update, I think when you were gone, that the strategic plan went to the Board of Supervisors last week and was endorsed. So there with no comment. So that is, I guess that's an update for strategic planning as well.
Yeah, that's all. I don't have anything else for that.
I will note the strategic, because it's on my radar, and I've forgotten to connect with Veronica on that. I do know that the strategic planning committee has been charged with meeting again to begin to discuss some membership stuff. So we have not made progress on that yet, but we will. And it's still on my radar a little bit.
On my list to do after my contracts are settled and everything is done. So I got the RFP ready to go. So after I get that one submitted, I'll get a doodle out.
Yep.
Thanks,
so that's on the horizon for strategic planning.
Is there any questions on strategic planning? Not hearing you. We're going to go to Angelica.
We didn't meet again in May, but we will meet for sure on June 13th. That's a Tuesday at 11. It'll be hybrid, either at my office and Zoom. So that's it.
Thank you, Angelica. Any questions for Angelica?
What wasn't our committee supposed to get passed on something that they were supposed to focus on? Did that happen?
I'm gonna look at my notes. I know what it was, Judy. It was the Shelter and Solutions. We were asking them to spend some time on prioritization for non-congregate shelter. Because we hadn't really, that was a kind of complicated conversation about who and how should non-congregate shelter be prioritized.
Veronica, did you have anything for coordinated entry?
Our coordinated
Mhm.
entry list manager
That's all right.
contract is in place. I mention again later on, but so they will be attending our next coordinated entry discharge planning committee as the actual official list manager. At the last committee meeting, they approved a transfer policy. And this is under federal regulations. Persons who were chronically homeless, according to HUD's definition, that move into ESG funded rapid rehousing. Now, this is ESG only, it's not any rapid rehousing. But if they go into ESG rapid rehousing, they retain their chronic homeless status. And so if for whatever reason that housing isn't the right intervention for them, they need more intensive services, the regulations allow that rapid rehousing participant to then be referred to our PSH that requires chronic homelessness. So this policy described the actual process that would be followed in situations like this. We're accepting referrals from any rapid rehousing program in our coordinated entry system to kind of give a little bit of a wider berth, even though the regulations don't require it. Trying to think, it's been a minute. Yeah, any questions on that?
And not hearing any questions, we'll go on to the next one. Membership, Veronica?
I'll be sending it out an email shortly about that group meeting regarding the July drive for new COC members. So that'll be forthcoming soon.
Thank you. Any comments on membership or coordinated entry? Okay, we're gonna go on to HMIS. Was there anything, Veronica, you had here?
No, we haven't been able to meet because I'm at my max and we're down to 2 of 5 positions that are currently filled. So I'm getting done what I can. And so forthcoming.
I think in some ways, until the strategic planning committee, I mean, it might make sense for the membership committee to meet after the strategic planning committee talks about membership so that there's kind of some direction. That's what you were looking for, Veronica, direction from strategic planning on how to deal with some of the outstanding membership issues.
Yes, but that's in addition to needing to do the July new member drive.
That's true.
So that's going to be our next focus for membership.
Okay. We'll move on to ad hoc committee reports.
Our 2023 point in time count was submitted on time. And so we'll be going through some review. With our, usually it's Apt Associates is our TA provider. We haven't heard from them yet this year, but we anticipate hearing back from them soon. And then I also put together a point in time count volunteer survey to gather feedback on just from our volunteers. And so I'll have that put together in the near future for presentation to the board.
Okay, is there any questions for Veronica on the point in time count? Okay, not seeing any, we'll move on to funding updates. If you don't have, there's nothing under board governance, right, Veronica?
Correct. We had no items. We took care of them in the last 2 meetings. There was a lot for. But updates for the board for our HAP funding. I got back the draft request for proposals from our director today. So I will be sending it to Central Services with a proposed timeline. And so more information coming, but it is progressing.
And that's for round 3 and 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Because both the county and the COC, we've reported to Cal ICH that both have met their obligation requirements for rounds 1 and 2. So rounds 1 and 2 have been allocated and contracted out or budgeted, depending on the exact revenue, like use that we're talking about.
Okay. Is there any questions for Veronica on the HAP? Not seeing any comments or public input. Go to Cash, Veronica. Well,
Just
you
wanted
kinda
to
talked about
share.
this earlier.
Yep, already provided the update that Nutmeg Consulting is now our contractor as list manager.
You want to go down to HUD HMIS capacity building grant? You closed.
Yep. HUD held the grant closeout meeting on May 11th. We provided feedback, and I'm happy to report that we have been able to achieve all of our objectives, and we've used 100% of the funding. So great job, team. I wish Brian was here to celebrate. And I have no updates on the HUD COC program, ESG, or HEAP funding.
Okay. Is there any comments or questions for the board on the capacity building? Are you not hearing any? Is there any projects that we have not talked about? Just FYI, I hate this camera on this laptop, so it's annoying. Okay, the only announcement I see here is just a reminder, we are accepting ongoing nomination for vacant seats, and the membership July is in July, correct, Veronica?
Yes.
Which is July, the meeting date?
Oh,
I know, I mean,
sorry, my computer's just being slow. July 17th.
okay. So keep that in mind. If we can get some new members in July, it'd be really good.
And as a reminder, the vacant seats are the organization addressing needs of seniors, organization representing law enforcement, and a homeless or formerly homeless individual.
And or just general members too.
Or in general members. So those are the board seats that are empty, but yeah.
It's not really an announcement, but we had someone join us late. I see Xenia Leva Cho has joined us. Is that actually Xenia? And in which capacity are you joining us?
Oh, I'm working for North Coast Opportunities, helping implement the CalAIM initiative for enhanced care management and community supports. So I'm working right along with Megan's team with Front Door for Families, trying to bring up the case. We're piloting the case management part of it right now. And so we're working to kind of build up that and see what our capacity will look like.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if you could share with maybe upper management if NCO would like to place membership with the Mendocino COC, because at this time they're not currently a member.
So I know by my direct supervisor that they've expressed interest. I don't know if they want me to just, sit on and check out the meetings again, or what exactly the role would be, but I can check back in with her and see what what they want and whether that's something of interest, because we are building it within Lake and Mendocino, and I have been in the hub trainings for Lake County and some of their systems that they're doing. So it'd be pretty interesting to kind of see how things are moving along. So I'll connect with you, Veronica, if you'd like, and I can reach out.
Excellent. And the application is available on our website, mendocinococ.org. All right, welcome. Good to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you. Thank you.
Well, if that's it, the next meeting will be June 19th at 1:30 on Zoom. And I will not be here on that meeting, Veronica, just FYI.
Okay.